That's a good story.
Okay. Oh my gosh, it's a penny. Rebecca, those are absolutely useless. Hey vlog! So today, Rachel and I are going to be talking about pennies.
Abolishing the penny.
Or not. The penny was invented in 1909. It was the first coin to have a face on it other than the face of Lady Liberty. This face was the face of our beloved president, Abraham Lincoln. As Obama said,
we remember our piggy banks and counting up all our pennies and then taking them in and getting a dollar bill or a couple dollars from them.
"Oh man, I've been saving all year and now it's finally paying off. Look at all these pennies." Abolishing the penny would be bad for our economy and against our nation's ideals of democracy.
So, back in the early 1900s, pennies were made out of 95% copper. The copper was so valuable and the Americans knew it. Instead of actually using the coin for what it was worth, people melted down the copper to take out of them until government made it illegal. Even in 1928, people knew that the penny wasn't worth keeping around. So who's ever had the awkward interaction between you and a cash register when they give you back your change and you drop all the pennies? Well, I sure have.
Right, here's your iced tea. That'll
Thank
be
you.
$3.83.
Okay.
Oh gosh, all the pennies. That's okay. Sorry about that. Alrighty. Here's your change.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Oh my gosh. What is with all these pennies? I've got places to be. Pick it up.
I'm sorry, sir.
So the bottom line is, pennies are useless and inconvenient. So let's jump right into why pennies are a waste of money. First off, the cost to produce a penny is more than it's worth. According to many sources, such as government treasury accounts and Smithsonian articles, they each report that the cost to mint a penny is over 1 cent. As of 2011, the cost was 1.81 cent, and as of 2015, the cost was 1.43. Because pennies cost more to mint, taxpayers, aka you and your families, annually pay $100 million more every single year in taxes that essentially go to waste. In this graph made by government executive and management, we see as the cost of the penny becomes more detrimental, the amount of money the U.S. Mint loses increases to almost $70 million as of 2017, which is significantly more than the nickel. We can blame this on the rise of demand for zinc, which is used in heavy industry, construction, machine and shipbuilding, and steel production. While some may argue that rounding to the nearest nickel would be difficult and cause inflation, but because other countries such as Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, who have all successfully abolished their 1 cent coin, Canada even saw a decrease in inflation. From this, we can conclude that inflation will not be an issue.
In his article, "The Penny May Be Worthless, but Let's Keep It Anyway," Jay Zagorski talks about how all the prices would need to be rounded to the nearest nickel, which could cause disputes between customers and companies about whether it would be rounded up or down. Jay also talks about how the abolishment of the penny would cause prices to rise, which would then bring about inflation. While Rachel said that the penny costs more to make than it is worth, a government website that was updated this spring says otherwise. It says that the penny costs 0.81 of a cent to make, which is less than it is worth. Since this comes from a reliable source, we can conclude that there would be no economical benefits to eliminating the penny, and only the downfalls of rounding to the nearest nickel. My second argument is that Americans love pennies a lot. The penny is loved for its nationalistic values. It has the face of Abraham Lincoln on it, who is known for not only emancipating slavery, but also leading our nation through the Civil War. When an American looks at a penny, they think not only of unity, but of freedom for everyone. The penny holds meaning and tradition in the hearts of most Americans. The Smithsonian had a poll in which there were 2 boxes marked either in favor of keeping the penny or ditching it. It was reported that 60% of Americans put pennies in the box that was in favor of keeping the pennies, while only 40% put pennies in the box in favor of ditching it. Since the majority of Americans do not want to abolish the penny, it wouldn't be representative of our population if we abolished it. And representation is one of the most important parts of democracy, which is one of the key ideals that our nation was founded upon. If our nation can't represent the feelings of the majority on an issue as small as pennies, what will be next? Some say that dealing with the penny is inconvenient and unnecessary. While this may be true, the penny's perceived inconvenience is outweighed by Americans' connection to it, as proved by the polls and the general consensus.
The second reason that we should abolish pennies is because of their inconvenience. Pennies are a waste of time. As CGP Gray points out in his video, 2 seconds are added to every cash transaction solely because pennies. If you do the math, that adds up to 48 million hours wasted annually on counting pennies during cash transactions. Because the sales tax, no one can know exactly what their total is. This adds so much time when you're just counting coins up at the cash register. This results in wasted time and angry customers. Pennies are only good to be stored in jars. Secondly, pennies waste space. These days, nobody wants pennies, even machines. Vending machines, parking meters, toll booths, or anything else don't accept pennies because pennies simply aren't worth the time, effort, or space to store them. The only machine that accepts pennies is Coinstar. This machine basically takes your pennies that have been sitting in a jar and unused and turns it into usable cash after taking 10% of your money. But here's the problem many people have with abolishing the penny. We all know everybody loves Lincoln. Americans take pride in the pennies just because Lincoln is on them. It shows patriotism despite their inconvenience. But his legacy still stands as he remains on the $5 bill. And abolishing the penny would cause no disrespect. Why? Because the United States military promptly rounds to the nearest nickel, and they don't use pennies either. What could be more patriotic and respectful than the U.S. military?
While some point out that abolishing the penny would not get rid of all currency with Abraham Lincoln's face on it, Americans still associate the penny with Abraham Lincoln, which causes them to have a sentimental connection to it and not want to abolish it.
Aren't you passionate about something? Don't you believe that $100 million of taxpayer money that the government gets every year should go to something more important than pennies?
Imagine if the penny were just gone. What would you pick up on the ground for good luck? What would little children save in their piggy banks? So next time you see a penny on the ground, pick it up and show it some love.
Do your country and your fellow taxpayers a favor and abolish the penny. And start collecting them too, because in a few years after they're abolished, they could earn you a fortune.
The penny stole my heart, and I hope that it steals yours too.